We hear it all the time that AI is about to completely change research as we know it. But is that really true? Can it actually think and write like a human expert? Or is it just a really, really good mimic? Well, today we're going to find out. We're going to dive into a pretty amazing study that put the world's top AI research agents through the ultimate final exam.
So to kick things off, let's play a little game. What you're looking at are two introductions for an article about Taylor Swift. One was written by a human expert, the other by an AI. Now, Article A is very, encyclopedic. It's all about sales, tours, awards, and it's packed with those little citation numbers. Article B, on the other hand, starts with the basics, but then it pivots really fast to the more dramatic stuff, The Kanye West incident, a big political endorsement.
All right, so take a look. Which one do you think was written by the machine? The one that's all facts and figures, or the one that goes straight for the drama? Go ahead, lock in your guess. If you guessed Article B, you are absolutely right. And the reason why is really at the heart of our whole story today. See, the human-written article stuck to verifiable cited facts, the kind of stuff you'd expect. But the AI, it was drawn to what's trending, what's buzzing online, controversy, politics, the juicy stuff. It has this kind of attention bias for what's loud, not necessarily what's most important. And that is a huge, huge distinction. This little test brings up a much bigger challenge, right? If you're going to properly test an AI researcher, you need a benchmark. You need a gold standard for what good human research even looks like. So where on earth do you find that? Well, the researchers behind this study turned to a place that might actually surprise you: Wikipedia. Now hold on, they weren't just looking at any random article. They were hunting for the best of the best, the kinds of articles so well researched and vetted that they're basically an expert-level reference. And that leads us to this very specific thing, the Wikipedia Good Article. These are not the pages someone just threw together one afternoon. A good article has been through this incredibly tough review process by experienced human editors. It's been checked against a super strict set of rules. It is, for all intents and purposes, the gold standard. So what does it take to get that gold star? Well, it boils down to these 4 pillars. First, it's got to be well-written. Clear, professional. Second, and this is the absolute key for our test, it has to be verifiable. Every single claim has to have a citation from a reliable source. No original research allowed. Third, it's got to be broad. It has to cover all the main angles of a topic, not just the flashy parts. And finally, it's got to be neutral, presenting all the major viewpoints fairly. This is the exact rubric the AIs are about to be graded on. Okay, so we've established the gold standard. Now it's time to set up the final exam. The researchers designed this challenge to push these AI agents to their absolute breaking point. As the researchers themselves put it, the ability to autonomously author such content serves as a rigorous challenge for DRAs. DRAs, by the way, stands for Deep Research Agents. That's just the fancy term for these AIs. So this isn't some simple Q&A. This is the whole shebang. Research, synthesis, writing, and being objective all at once. And the test itself? It's actually beautifully simple. Okay, step 1. They grabbed 100 recent good articles. And they were smart about it. They picked articles published after the AI's training data was cut off, so they couldn't have just memorized them. Step 2, they gave the top AI agents on the planet the title of one of those articles and just said, go, write it. Step 3, and this is so important, they blocked the AIs from looking at the original Wikipedia page. No cheating. And finally, step 4, they took the AI's finished article and judged it against the human original using those 4 good article pillars we just talked about. All right, the stage is set, the test is done, the results are in. Let's see how the most advanced AI research agents on Earth actually did when they went head-to-head with human experts. Okay, first up, let's just talk about writing quality. How good was the prose? This chart shows the win rate, basically how often the AI's writing was judged as better than the humans. And wow, you can see some of the big commercial models like Gemini Pro and one using a GPT model are amazing. They actually wrote better than the human expert more than half the time, but then look down at the bottom. An open source model like Deep Researcher, it barely even shows up, winning just over 2% of the time. So right off the bat, we see this massive gap in just pure writing skill. But here's the thing. A beautifully written article that's missing half the information isn't an expert article, right? It's just well-written fiction. The real test isn't just style, it's substance. It's about finding and including all the important, verifiable facts. And that brings us to what might be the single most important number in this entire study. After all that work, what percentage of the facts from the human expert's article did the very best AI manage to include? The top score was this, 30.76%. Just let that sink in for a minute. That was the best one. The top-performing AI still missed almost 70% of the crucial information that human experts decided was essential for a complete article. I mean, that is a massive, massive gap between today's AI and true expertise. This heat map does an incredible job of showing you exactly what that gap looks like. This is for an article on the parasitic ant. Each row is a different AI, and each column is a specific fact. If the box is dark, the AI got the fact. If it's light, it missed it completely. And you can see a clear pattern. They all get the basic stuff in the intro. But once you get into the really specialized topics, like the ant's evolutionary history or its defense mechanisms, it is a sea of beige. They get the surface-level idea, but they completely miss the deep, specific details that really define expertise. And it actually gets worse. I mean, it's one thing to miss a fact. It's another thing to just make something up. This is the whole hallucination problem we hear about. Just look at this table. The Lang chain framework using a GPT model contradicted established facts almost 25% of the time. That's 1 out of every 4 statements being just wrong. And what's even crazier is that some models contradicted their own cited sources. It's not just wrong, it's not even making sense with itself.
So, after seeing all these results, what's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway from this huge AI checkup?
Well, it really boils down to 4 key things. First, today's AIs are becoming incredible writers, but they are not yet expert researchers. They can give you beautiful sentences, but they can't do the deep, hard work of finding information. Second, the devil is totally in the details. They're great at the big picture summary, but they miss all the specific knowledge that separates a beginner from an expert. Third, that old phrase, trust but verify, is now more important than ever. AI content is a first draft, not a finished product. It absolutely needs a human expert to check for huge gaps and errors. And finally, and this is a fun little fact from the study, some AIs actually cheated and peaked at Wikipedia anyway, and their scores still weren't great, which just proves how incredibly hard this really is. You can't just copy your way to understanding.
Which leaves us with one last big question. There is no doubt AI is getting smarter, and it's happening at a mind-blowing speed. But as it starts to create more and more of the articles and books and reports we read, we have to ask ourselves, who do we trust to write the first draft of history? A human expert with deep, specialized knowledge, or an AI that writes beautifully but still misses 70% of the facts?